I'd like to welcome you to the Donnie Glover Show. We have a very informative interview today with Dr. Anthony Jenkins, president of the very fine Coppin State. We want you to stay tuned. We'll be right back. Glover Show, I'd like to welcome you to the Donnie Glover Show. We're here with Dr. Anthony Jenkins, president of Coppin State University. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Donnie. How are you doing?
I'm outstanding.
Well, good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for taking the time. You're so busy. What's life like as a college president?
Oh, today it's a lot different than what it was 30 years ago. A university or college president, I think 30 or 40 years ago, sat in the ivory tower and did a couple of things here and there. But today, they want the president to recruit, to retain students, to fundraise, to work with the legislature, to work with parents, work with faculty and staff, help build the buildings, cut the grass, you name it, they want us to do it. And for me, it's a part of the high demand, high reward for this particular role. I think I have the greatest job in the world.
Right here on West North Avenue.
On West North Avenue.
So you're from originally North Carolina?
I'm originally from Washington, D.C.
D.C.?
Washington, D.C. Southeast Washington, D.C.
Hold up, D.C.?
4th and Chesapeake. That's right.
Now, I missed that part.
I was born in the Columbia Hospital for Women. It was an all-women's hospital. And was born in Washington, D.C., loved it. I think D.C. Is the greatest city on the planet. I know I'm in Baltimore saying that, but I love
it's
my
okay.
hometown.
I'm a Baltimorean that loves D.C. I love Ben's Chili Bowl.
I love it.
Big time favorite of your greatest musician ever.
That's right.
Who was that?
It got to be Chuck.
All day long.
All day long.
Mayor for Life. Mayor for Life would answer the phone for me.
There you go.
Marion Barry.
Marion Barry.
He understood the interrelationship of politics and economics.
And he understood people. And that's why he was the people's mayor. And even though life sometimes doesn't work out the way we want, and decisions aren't always made the way people want them to be made, he was still able to reposition himself as the people's mayor, and that's why he will always be beloved.
Did you ever see the picture of him with Martin Luther King?
Yes, I have.
On the campus of Atlanta University?
Yes.
Is that not stoic? I mean,
historic.
Yes.
It is.
A chemistry major.
That's right.
When he came to D.C., he was the jobs man. A lot of people don't know that.
That's right. They don't know his history. And I think, again, he's one of multiple layers that makes Washington, D.C., Washington, D.C. And where I grew up, and one of the beauties about Washington, D.C., is that it is the most powerful city on the planet.
Yes.
With the government and the White House and the Capitol and all of these wonderful museums and so forth. And just a few blocks from there, where I grew up, you have the most powerful place on the planet, and you have poverty.
Yes. Right?
And they exist in this 12-block space. And it is unlike any other place in the world. And so I remember when I was growing up, back then we used to go on field trips, and I remember my first trip to the White House. I thought it was huge. I thought it was big. You know, President Carter was in office then, and so forth. And fast forward, I now have 2 beautiful daughters, and I took them back to the White House, and I'm like, this place is so small.
I gotta ask you, both of your daughters' names have an A in it.
That's right.
Is there a story to this alliteration?
Well, because my name has an A in it.
Okay,
right?
okay.
So what I simply was doing was I wanted to stay with the A's.
Okay.
And so.
Did it have anything to do with academics?
No, had nothing to do with academics at all. In fact, My oldest daughter, Ashley, before she was born, and my wife didn't let me know what their gender was going to be until they actually were born. So we were playing with names, and I said, I'm going to do something interesting. I'm going to name, if it's a girl, I'm going to name her Anthony with an I. And my wife looked at me and said, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard, and no, you're not. So then we said, okay, if it's a boy, I would give my wife the honor of naming him. If it was a girl, I would have the honor of naming her. And so one day I was just doing something, and the name Ashley stuck with me. And probably about 6 months in, I started calling her Ashley, and my wife said, you don't even know if it's a girl. I said, oh, yes, I do. I said, yes, I do. So,
Fayetteville State, was that a chance for you to get out of Washington?
No. So when I left high school,
oh, that's right,
I was a first
military.
generation college kid, and so I went right into the military. I went into the United States Army, one of the best decisions I ever made, and it really shaped me in a different way. And so one of the places that I was stationed was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Now, I do have ties to North Carolina. My mother and grandmother are from North Carolina. Like most people in Washington, D.C., back in the 60s and 70s, they moved north for better opportunities, although I don't know if you can say D.C. is really north, it depends on the Mason-Dixon line. But if you run into most people in Washington, D.C., they have some ties to North Carolina or South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, somewhere in the South. And so I was no different. So knowing North Carolina and coming out of the military, I was looking for an incredible HBCU, and I found that in Fayetteville State University.
You were a track star?
I was a track star and football star. So I always tell people I grew up in Washington, D.C. That's where I was born and raised, but Fayetteville State University turned me into a man.
Who had better food?
North Carolina. North Carolina.
Good deal. We're going to come back. We're going to take a pause and come back on the other side and get into this 125th anniversary of the historic Coppin State University. When I was here, it was Coppin State College.
That's right.
And how do I say that? How do you say that?
Well, listen, it was Coppin State College.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about transitioning from a college to a university when we come back.
Okay. Stay tuned. We'll come back on the other side. You're watching the Donnie Glover Show. We're here with Dr. Anthony Jenkins, president of Coppin State University. Stay tuned.
At Fulton Bank, we're personally invested in every community we serve. So sometimes we're big in small ways, like finding a way to get Crystal and Dan a mortgage before the baby arrived. Other times we're small in big ways, like local decision-making and financial coaching that helped Fernando open his own shop. Fulton Bank, a community bank that's big and small in all the right ways.
Show,
I'd like to welcome you back to the Donnie Glover Show. We have the one and only Dr. Jenkins. So we were going into the history.
Yes, yes. So you were indicating that when you were here, we were Coppin State College.
Yes.
And in 2004, we transitioned from college to university. And one of the things I've talked to the campus community about repeatedly since I've been here is that colleges are designed to serve. Universities are designed to solve. And so when we transition from college to university, we, in my opinion, then have a responsibility to not only serve West Baltimore, but we have a responsibility to solve West Baltimore's problems. And so that's where we utilize our faculty and their groundbreaking research to do things like address climate issues in urban areas, to look at violence, to look at social services, to look at the human condition. Because I tell people, as we stand today celebrating 125 years of transformation, Coppin University was created for one reason only, and that was to change the lives of Black people in Baltimore, and then throughout the state and around the world. And that's what we've been doing for 125 years. No other four-year college or university in this state has done more to move more low-income students into the middle class than Coppin State.
What about older students?
It's the same story. Here, students find a place that will embrace them, nurture them, and transform them. And I tell students, whether you are coming to us later in life, or you're coming to us straight out of high school, or you've had to come back again, and so forth, when you step foot on this campus, you've started your journey to becoming a college graduate, and we're going to help you get there.
You know, part of your history, and I know I'm moving around a bit, but I'm thinking about Muhammad Ali. Tell me the Muhammad Ali story again.
You know, I became a huge fan of Muhammad Ali when my mother told me that he used to visit her home in North Carolina. And she would tell me stories about, you know, how charismatic he was and all of this, and that they had a good friendship. And it really sparked my love for boxing. I started reading more about him, and then just kind of a detour, I came up during the greatest middleweight boxing era in the history of boxing, right? There were guys that I looked at who changed the middleweight boxing game. That was Marvelous Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, and Hitman Tommy Hearns. Those individuals were incredible, and I would watch every match. And it was not until Mike Tyson came later that then heavyweight boxing came back. But my love for them and my love for Ali just it positioned me to eat up all things boxing. And I think that he is the greatest athlete, not the greatest boxer. He's the greatest athlete we've ever produced, because no athlete before him, during his time, or since he's left us would ever sacrifice their livelihood, their career, the way he was willing to put it on the line for something bigger than himself.
I got to see him on this campus.
You're a special man.
Yes, sir. 125 years. A lot of people don't know Coppin's connection to Sandtown. You know, I live in Sandtown. Douglas High School, the old Douglas High School is there.
That's right.
What does that history mean?
Listen, that's where we got our start. I mean, Coppin started as a preparatory school for teachers. We started in the basement of Douglas. They gave us one room, and that's where Coppin started. And you fast forward today, 125 years later, we have students who come to us from 40 different states, the District of Columbia, 32 countries. We're nationally recognized in criminal justice, healthcare. We have the #1 nursing program amongst Maryland's HBCUs. Our social work program is ranked nationally. Forbes ranked our psychology program one of the best in the nation. We are ranked in STEM. We're doing incredible things. From a small school that had a very humble beginning, we now can offer our students a large university experience and do it as the most affordable four-year college or university in the state.
So we have a big celebration coming up?
We have a huge celebration coming up. And on April 24th, we're going to celebrate all things Coppin. She's been good to so many people. She's transformed so many lives. And I am happy and proud to be the president of this incredible institution.
Have you ever met Dr. Calvin Burnett?
I have had the honor. You know, when I got tapped to become president of Coppin, I started studying all of my predecessors. And the one giant, and I do mean literal giant, was Dr. Burnett. He was one of the longest tenure-serving presidents, 32 years at this institution. And then when I had a chance to meet him in person, he and I spoke before I had the chance to meet him in person, because when I arrived, I called all of the previous presidents. I wanted to bend their ear. I wanted to hear and to learn from what their experiences were here at Coppin. But then when I had a chance to meet him, he was just a gentle giant,
yes,
highly intellectual, and I was extremely impressed with who he is, what he's done for this institution, and I'm honored to follow in his footsteps.
You know, he told me that he makes it his business not to meddle.
He told me the same thing, and he said, Mr. President, I've been watching from afar, and y'all are doing some incredible work at Coppin. And I wanted him to understand that this is just my leg of the race. I've taken that baton from him and Dr. Thompson and Dr. Newville and Dr. Burnett and Dr. Battle and all of those who come before me. It's now my time to run the race, and I'll run it. And then when it's time, I'll hand that off. And collectively, we will continue to move Coppin forward and elevate her so that she's positioned to be what we know she truly is, and that is a leader in urban higher education.
Okay, we're going to take a pause and come right back. You're watching the Donnie Glover Show. We're here with the one and only Dr. Anthony Jenkins, president of Coppin State University, right here at 2500. 2500?
2500 all day.
West North Avenue. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Jay Wendell Gordon, the Warrior Lawyer. I have an office downtown Baltimore City. I practice in the area of criminal defense, personal injury, civil rights, and medical malpractice. If you need a good attorney, get Gordon on the phone. Thank you.
Donnie Glover Show, BMoreNews.
At Fulton Bank, we're personally invested in every community we serve. So sometimes we're big in small ways, like finding a way to get Crystal and Dan a mortgage before the baby arrived. Other times we're small in big ways, like local decision-making and financial coaching that helped Fernando open his own shop. Fulton Bank, a community bank that's big and small in all the right ways.
I'd like to welcome you back to the Donnie Glover Show. Dr. Jenkins, you know the situation Black America's in.
Yes.
We're 5% of the world's, the country, U.S. is 5% of the world population. We have 25% of the incarcerated people. You know that the Black family, 70%
Yes.
single mother household, 40% of the men in prison, of the people in prison, nearly 40% of Black men.
Yeah.
You're right here in the heart of West North Avenue. I would be remiss if I didn't give you an opportunity to speak about something that has happened on your watch. West North Avenue Development Authority.
Yes.
$28 million up until last year, another $20 million. That's $48 million. I can tell you, having worked for Baltimore's Empowerment Zone, which brought $100 million back in 2000 or so to Baltimore, nothing has ever come here like that in my lifetime. How does it feel to be in the midst of one of the most significant urban renewal projects in the history of this city?
It feels great, but it also comes with a lot of weight and a lot of expectations. And I'm honored that when the legislative was written, that legislative document was written, that Senator Antonio Hayes and Delegate Marlon Ampry understood Coppin's value and Coppin's worth. And they were willing to make sure that Coppin would chair and oversee this revitalization of this very important corridor. making Coppin the only HBCU in our nation's history to ever be charged with revitalizing a major corridor in a major U.S. city. That has never happened before. And it allows us as an anchor institution to really have a significant role in revitalizing a place that is so dear to us. And we're committed to making sure that our efforts really improve the quality of life ecosystem. So we're focusing on transportation, we're focusing on education, we're focusing on housing, we're focusing on green space. We're focusing on those elements that are important to a quality of life.
For someone who hasn't been on this campus in 30 years, what would you tell them to look for?
Just look for the growth, the excitement, the energy. Look at our students. Look at how they're coming from around the world to West Baltimore, to this small institution that can give them a large university experience. I would tell them just stand here and take it all in. It took Coppin 30 years to cross West North Avenue. 30 years to get to the other side where we now have two incredible facilities.
All the way down to Baker Street,
That's
all
right.
the way up to Gwynns Falls.
That's right. You know, and so I would tell them, come and see what this is all about. We are proud of who we are. We are Coppin through and through. We're not trying to be anybody else. We are blue and gold, and that is what makes us. That's what shapes us. And so I would tell them to come visit and learn more about Baltimore's hometown university.
All right, well, I've been pretty polite thus far. This is baseball season, and
Let's go.
I got a curveball coming for you.
Throw it.
Coach Bob Wade, Dunbar legend, and a dear friend of mine, Derek Boyd, told me that Angel Reese did something special on this campus.
She did.
I didn't know about it.
Okay. All right.
Can you share with us what happened?
I sure can. You know, we did something, you know, Coppin over the last several years has been making history, and we've been making history over the past 125. But the last 5 years has been something special. And we became the first HBCU to ever host the defending NCAA national champions on their home campus. And LSU and Angel Reese, who's from Baltimore, came and they played Our Lady Eagles, and it was an incredible game. And I would be remiss if I did not only give a shout out to Angel Reese, who I tip my cap to, but also to my Lady Eagles. TK, one of our star basketball players, lit them up for 21 points that night. Layla Lawrence, another one of our star players, backed Angel Reese down a couple of times and hit a double-double on her. And so we fell short, but it was an incredible game. The city came out, they supported Angel, they supported Coppin, and it was great for Baltimore all the way around.
Mr. President, can you look into the camera and tell them why people should come to Coppin, why they should send their students, their children, while adults?
Yeah.
I was a returning adult, came back 10 years after I started to finish my bachelor's, why they should come to Coppin State University.
Well, listen, first and foremost, because Coppin State University is that institution that regardless of where you start, regardless of your zip code, regardless of your age or your household income, we're the university that can help you become a college graduate. We're committed to that, right? That is who we are. That is what differentiates us from other universities. We don't care what your start is. We don't care what your academic preparation is. We understand everybody needs support and opportunity. We're willing to give that opportunity. And we do it at a higher rate than most other institutions when you're talking about Pell eligible students and low income students. Right size, right fit, right environment, right support. Wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do, you can do it from right here at Coppin State University.
Any final thoughts?
The final thoughts is that
Was there anything we didn't cover? Time's so short.
It is.
But
It is. I am in my 5th year. What we've done in 3.5 years at this university is nothing short of remarkable. And I challenge folks to also be mindful that as I'm in my 5th year, 2.5 of those years were eaten up by COVID. It changed the world, right? We didn't know from day to day what was going on. And so coming out of COVID in just 2.5, 3 years, our enrollment has been up every year since 2021 at a minimum of 5%. This spring it's up 10%. Our fundraising is at historic highs. Our graduation rate is at historic highs. Our alumni engagement is at historic highs. Our research is up 1,200% at historic highs. Our endowment we increased by 65% in 3.5 years. The list goes on and on and on. We are building. We built a new College of Business. I'm breaking ground on a new residence hall, bringing 350 new beds to campus. Things are up at Coppin, and Coppin is doing great.
Great job, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
The honor is mine. And thank you for using your platform to elevate Coppin and all the other great stories that you're highlighting.
Yes, sir. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
At Fulton Bank, we're personally invested in every community we serve. So sometimes we're big in small ways, like finding a way to get Crystal and Dan a mortgage before the baby arrived. Other times we're small in big ways, like local decision-making and financial coaching that helped Fernando open his own shop. Fulton Bank, a community bank that's big and small in all the right ways.
Cover show, BMoreNews. BMoreNews.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that you learned something, especially about the 125-year-old Coppin State University and its very fine president, Dr. Anthony Jenkins, all the way from Southeast. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you next week right here on the Donnie Glover Show.
At Fulton Bank, we're personally invested in every community we serve. So sometimes we're big in small ways, like finding a way to get Crystal and Dan a mortgage before the baby arrived. Other times we're small in big ways, like local decision-making and financial coaching that helped Fernando open his own shop. Fulton Bank, a community bank that's big and small in all the right ways.
Hi, my name is J. Wendell Gordon, the Warrior Lawyer. I have an office downtown Baltimore City. I practice in the area of criminal defense, personal injury, civil rights, and medical malpractice. If you need a good attorney, get Gordon on the phone. Thank you.
Donnie Glover Show, BMoreNews.